Subscribe to our channel, press the bell icon and never miss an update from Latestly.
That's an extremely powerful question.
Mukhbir should be able to reach a height.
Be this unsung hero for your country.
That this happened before any agency even existed in India.
But India has that tradition of telling stories which are deeply meaningful.
First of all, welcome to Latestly. And I'm
Thank
really
you
glad
for
to
having
have
us.
you, all of you. It's quite a coincidence. Just a couple of days back, I was watching this series on Netflix called the Spy, the international series, and I was like, when can we come so close in terms of detailing, in terms of intensity, truthfulness, honesty to that project? Because last I saw
Yeah.
a project that could possibly come close to that was Razi by Meghna Gulzar. When it comes
Which
to
one?
Spy, Meghna Gulzar ki Razi, Alia Bhatt featuring.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So I was like, when can we have a project which is based on spy thrillers or espionage and the detailing that it requires? And now we are talking about Mukhbir. Of course, we are eager to see the trailer, what it is going to offer. You have done it. You guys have performed in it, and we are all watching with bated breath when it is going to unfold. सो जब ये बात आती है कि इंडिया की तरफ से ऐसा कुछ आए तो आपके जहन में क्या होता है कि कौन से एलिमेंट मिस आउट नहीं होने चाहिए?
प्रथमेश, फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल मेरे ख्याल से मेरा ही मानना है कि हम सब इस खास करके अभी के दौर में ऐसा काम करने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं कि हम हमारी स्टोरी टेलिंग को वर्ल्ड वाइड ले जाएं. I think anybody who's working competitively in this industry wants हमारा content, हमारे मुल्क का content to be seen the world over, and for us to not be competitive just for the sake of competition के वैसा बनाना है, but to tell our stories, tell our local stories, technically well, technically sound, and for the world to relate to it. Because at the end of the day, you see cinema from across the world, and you end up relating no matter किस कल्चर की बात हो रही है, कहाँ की बात हो रही है, आप उससे रिलेट कर जाते हैं जब वो अच्छी तरीके से बोला जाता है, जब वो स्टोरी अच्छे से कही जाती है. आपने द स्पाई की बात की. While it not being our story, we could connect with it. You could connect with the character. You could really see see that time. You could see what that person felt. You could, when he was sitting there dilapidated in that first scene, you felt for him. And that goes a lot to show that the creators of the story, not just the actor, the creators of that story, the creator of the world have lent themselves fully and committed themselves to that storytelling. Here, I think mostly it is about we were just talking about this, that at the end of the day, as actors, you have to realize and surrender to the fact that it is the director's world that you're entering. It is the director's vision that you're entering into. It is the story writer's vision that you're entering into. And as long as you lend yourself to it, as long as you want to be a part of that world and add to that, and not live in a different illusion altogether of being somebody all by yourself, because that has been broken.
Yes.
We're all now come to realize that the script is the ultimate king. The script is first and foremost, that is important. And that I have firmly believed in when it comes to Mukhbir. That it has worked for me on a script level. It has worked for me when I've been committed to it since I saw what we wanted to do in terms of production, what the director's vision was, and how honestly committed they were and who they were. It's we have Shivam Nair, no less. We have Jaiprad Desai, who has such good understanding into an aspect that Mukhbir really wanted to touch and bases itself on, which is a human aspect, the human story of being a spy. Because at the end of the day, a spy mein kitna naya karenge? You see the world cinema going to, you see the stories of spies being told, and then today they're going into space to shoot something like that, So that envelope is already being stretched. So where do you stretch it now? And that is the scale of humanity, of true human emotions. And you started very well and articulately by quoting or paraphrasing Adil sir that let's not talk about brilliance, let's talk about the truth. And Mukhbir, I suppose, has always endeavored to speak about the truth of these untold stories and what it means and what it entails to be this unsung hero for your country. So I suppose yes, that would be most exciting to watch, and how far we have succeeded in doing that.
Adil sir, I still remember our conversation during the illegal and your project, of course, and where you said that the writers are the ones who give us that landscape on which we build the structures. And the example that you quoted was a trampoline. We can jump off, and the heights that we reach depends on the writers provide the trampoline, so to speak. uh, इस प्रोजेक्ट में वो जो राइटिंग की बात हो रही है, क्योंकि आपने इतने ज्यादा इंटरनेशनल प्रोजेक्ट किए हैं जिसके फ्लेवर्स टेक्सचर बहुत ही ज्यादा इंटरनेशनल उभर कर आते हैं. सो उस लिहाज से ये जो मुखबिर होगा, वो ये जो स्पाई होगा, ये जो मुखबिर होगा, वो कितना डिफरेंट होगा. क्यों कि लैंडस्केप काफी डिफरेंट है. हम इसराइल का कॉन्फ्लिक्ट देखते हैं, मिडिल ईस्ट का कॉन्फ्लिक्ट बहुत ज्यादा देखते हैं जब स्पाई की बात होती है. तो उस लिहाज से इंडियन स्पाई जो होते हैं और इंडिया पाकिस्तान का कॉन्फ्लिक्ट, तो ये लैंडस्केप कितना उभर कर आएगा, कितना बेहतरीन होगा, कितना डिफरेंट होगा.
मेरे ख्याल से जैन ने जो अभी आर्टिकुलेट किया, बहुत बढ़िया तरीके से आर्टिकुलेट किया है. आई थिंक माय आर्टिकुलेशन इज not required even. I completely agree with Zain, what he said, because it is, again, we talked before also, Prathamesh, that it is the facilitation of the writer-director production who help us to bounce on it and to go higher in terms of digging the truth deeper into it as well. So that way, I think Mukhbir should be able to reach a height which hasn't been seen yet, or had been seen probably by very, very, very few rare series which had come out and had been recognized internationally. So, stories of Middle East and stories of different other parts, like, for example, Israel and Palestine, they have made so many series. Now recently I saw Tehran, amazingly made series, but it became amazing because what Zain said is because they were capturing the human reality, they were capturing the human cost, they're capturing the human emotions in those stories. And I think Mukhbir will not shy away from touching those heights of the truth of the relationship. It's about that. It's about the tapestry of human interrelationships which happens. No matter in what context, no matter in what story we're telling, this is a story, of course, about the unsung heroes. And amongst those people who we generally don't talk about, we don't know about, we don't read much about them. So I think that we should look forward to a amazing, entertaining, gripping series which would be premiering on the 11th of November on Z5, and I urge the viewer to brace themselves to go for this roller coaster ride of a spy thriller and the human story which is underlying it.
What is the source then of this whole project, the germ of an idea, so to speak, and then the evolution of it? Of course, you have to have all those subtext and the subplot, but you have to have a common thread running through it, which has to be constant and concrete. And there has been much talk about, especially for this project, Mukhbir. So would you like to shed light on that, the source from which it has been derived from?
I think the best people to answer that would be the writers and the directors, the creators of the show. That would be, there'd be Vedha, there'd be Karan Oberoi, there'd be Shivan Sir, Vijay Prad, all of these people who, sort of, and people who've germinated this idea, who brought this forward in terms of a screenplay. But if I'll come back to saying the same thing, that if there's a common thread that goes between all of this, is to you talk about these unsung heroes in as human way possible, in and to depict the truth of the cost that this the cost of doing such a thing for your country, the cost of doing such a thing for your society, to go out and dedicate your life and put yourself in a peril such as this, and what it entails in terms of a human story. I think that is the common thread you will see throughout this series.
Yeah. Yeah. And of course we were talking about all those international agencies such as Mossad and whatnot, and they of course had funds. India was still a young nation. We were struggling to find our feet on the global map, so to speak. So in us lihaz se, within those limitations, within those constraints, nation should not be compromised. The integrity of your intention should not be compromised. So उस लिहाज से आपने उस सिचुएशन as a performer कैसे देखा है, उस कैसे रीड करते हो उस सिचुएशन को? What is your reading of the whole situation, Adil sir?
I think to respond to this question would be which is probably prevalent. We see every time that the way our soldiers guarding the borders with limited resources. We don't have as much money as first world country. How they deal with the situations is the human bravery and courage and the dedication and patriotism and love that they have for the country. If I have understood your question correctly, I don't know whether I am saying I'm off track.
Yes, no, you're right on.
Yes, I think that's the beauty of India, that we are still developing, and we have very little physical wealth or resources to do anything. Forget about guarding the country and protecting our nation. We improvise. We do all kinds of things in order for us to survive.
Right.
And from this kind of constraint, creativity arises, and that is what probably you're going to see in this series. That how brave one could be, how dedicated, and how one could be so creative in order for to accomplish a mission which had been given to the person. And to do that, probably America or other countries would have created a huge, hue and cry, and they would have probably brought in a lot of gadgets. And of course, we are telling a story which is set in from 1963 to 1965. So that could be the most interesting part. How did we do it? And we did it. It's inspired by a true story. Of course, there are fictitious elements, quite most of it, but the inspiration is from a true story, and we see that in constraints, when we have very limited resources, how they did what they did, and that
Absolutely.
probably deserves the kind of attention and applause. And I think that would be very, very entertaining, and also will give perspective that how much we need to do in order to protect these amazing, dedicated, brave people.
I'm not sure how much you'll be able to relieve at this moment about your characters and the storyline, but I must ask you, was there any personality, was there any cult that you looked up to? Was there any material that you chose to dive into, to be able to draw inspiration from, to portray the characters that you're portraying this one, three of you all?
I had an easier job because this person that my character is based on is not publicly known much. Photographs are not available much.
Wow.
So I didn't have to match the sort of exactly the way he talked or looked much. But at the same time, I understood the gravity of the role that I'm playing, and also it is written in a very, very interesting way that he has got this amazing sense of humor, and at the same time he means business. Is dedicated. He doesn't sleep. He is all the time up for it, for anything at any point of time. I had the opportunity to speak to one of the granddaughters of the person that I played, of the character that I played. And I really wanted to go and meet granddaughter, the one of the person who worked under my character when he was alive. So yeah, so I tried my best, and I think after all, it is quite most of it is fictitious. So thankfully, I was not burdened with that responsibility to exactly portray him. But yeah.
Then for you?
Um, so the conventional spy, so to speak, is something that one would have to really put effort in the direction of trying to do something different from the conventional stencil of being a spy. Here, the advantage as well as the challenge at the same time is that the fact that this is an unconventional spy. It is a person picked up from the street. It is a person who is quick on his feet, is witty and clever, and he makes a living by being very clever on his feet, because he makes ends meet like that. But at the same time, he's ill-trained to be a spy. He's been put into that situation to not be detected. So he's an asset, an unlikely asset. So at the same time, while you depart from the already established stencil and template of being a spy, of wearing a suit and being suave and being, charming in a very stylized in a very spy manner.
Yeah.
Here, while maintaining the charm and while maintaining the beguile, you are this unconventional human being who would at once be cited in a group of people and at once could be completely ignored or being suspected of being a spy. So that sort of helps, and you get into the character and make it your own. The other thing which really helped is the fact that even though there were no references in real life for me to go back to or watch or do, and I consciously avoided doing that because I wanted to keep it as personal and intimate to my understanding of this human being. The script really helped. So I will not shy away from using this again, that situations define a human being as does it any character and any actor performing that character. So to look at those situations and to see the choices that Harshad makes it very easy to understand or get into the psyche of the human being. So for me, the first thing in any process of preparing a character is to read the script again and again. And, every time you read it, you go deeper into the layers and understanding of the character. And if the script is as well written as this is, if the ideas of the directors are as clearly defined and if their vision is as vivid as it was, it becomes very easy. However, then it's about living up to those standards. Yes. So at once it is easy and challenging as well.
Barkha, for you.
Wow. So mine is it's a fictitious character. So I had no reference point, honestly, except that it is a Pakistani ghazal singer. But I think what I have drawn from my real life experiences to bring into this character, because this character is also extremely real. I think as are all the characters on this show, which is, I think, the unique selling point of this show. The characters are as real as it can get. So it is challenging, yes, to play a character in the 1960s. But at the same time, it is so real a character that it is relatively easy to draw from one's own life, and put it into this character. And that's what I did for Begum Anar. We've all had our ups and downs in life. We've had pain, sadness, happiness, excitement, success, failure. We've seen it all. So I have used bits of those, put it into Begum Anar, and just left it for the audience to now figure out what they feel of it. Because I know I have felt every minute of the character as I have, when I portrayed it on screen. And I think as an actor, that's the best that I can do. Feel it and, hope that the audience feels it too. So my reference point has really been just real life. So, yeah.
My last question. which is when we see the way India is evolving, the way the world looks at this particular region of here. Uh, of course, we have come a long way. This is not just a market just for consumption, given the size of our population, but in terms of talent, in terms of the scale of it, the world is really waking up to us. Um,
Mhm.
so in that sense, how important would this story be on the global map? Because when it comes to spies and this, again, we are going back to the same debate that goes to Mossad or some agent in Argentina, etc., etc. But when it comes to skill, when it comes to integrity, I must use the word jugaad, so to speak. When it comes to limited resources within limited time frame, we are the people who do it like only we can. So, Ustiase, how important would this story be for world to look at us and to take note of, to acknowledge us as that power, so to speak?
Wow. That's an extremely powerful question. I mean, we're just so full of pride. I think your question is just so full of pride. I'm like, I don't want to defy you or deny you this whole feeling that you're going through. But I mean, I don't know. I'm sure Zain and Adil have a more intellectual response to this.
Oh, God.
But listen,
Okay.
we made an honest show. We have made it with all sincerity, integrity, patriotism, love for the country, love for art. You know, we have just made a show basis that uh, where it will stand on the global market, where will it put India on the global market, or where will it put our intelligence agencies on the global market? Um, I think we're a very small part of that world, really. But yes, this is our genuine, sincere attempt to let at least the world know that this happened before any agency even existed in India. You know, this is what, like we said, it's inspired from real events. So this is what one such man, there were many, but one such man did when there was no agency, there was no intelligence, there was nothing, there were no gadgets. Everything was restricted. Communication, it was clearly a matter of life or death. So for us to show that back then, this is what India did, I think itself is a message, to the whole world. And I don't know about the whole world, but I really hope that the younger generation of our country at least sees that and feels a lot of pride, in what we have done. So that is my take on it. Our show is honest, and it's
Zain, would
it's
you
it's
like to add?
beautiful.
Zain, would you like to add to
Yes,
this
Well,
whole
I
yeah.
would
beautiful?
I would really extrapolate it in terms of we were 30 for four, man. Nobody. The meters was like what, 75%,
Yeah,
50% for us.
yeah,
And to come from that stage and to win in front of 90,000 people,
yeah,
that says a lot about who we are. That says
Yeah.
a lot about our grit.
Yeah.
And this is very similar. It's against the
yeah,
odds. The
yeah,
story is
yeah.
against the odds.
Very well put.
Similarly, very recently, there was a certain event that happened in our country, and it was very widely said. And after that, after the success that we had, it was very widely all over said it is not the machines, it is about the men behind those machines.
Wow.
So no matter what technique and no matter what technology the world may have, we've always prided ourselves in human resource. And it is not about just the numbers, it is also about the grit and the passion that we have, the duty, the sense of duty that we have, as must all. And I'm not singling us out, as must all to their respective nations. But we, being with the history that we have and the dedication and the will that we have, we, as a part of this industry, wish to bring that into our work as well. We wish for the world to see that our human resource is not just quantity, it is quality as well. That when this quantity can bring together a good amount of quality, like we endeavor to, we wish with this, as we would with every other thing that we're doing. A very good picture was recently made, and we showed the world that we can do it in terms of VFX as well. So we're trying to, and we're putting our best efforts in various fields as we are in terms of storytelling. And we, as Mukhbir, I can speak on behalf of mostly for myself and for every creator that has been involved in the show. Whenever we get our hands at such a story, whenever we get our hands, which is not just a good mix of good fiction, but also has roots in reality, and reality that beckons towards our past and our history and our story, our collective memory.
Yeah.
We wish to do the best we can to show the world that here we are. We are alive and we're kicking, and we're endeavoring to be no less than anybody else.
Yes. Adil, sir, of course, we are going to conclude with your answer. For someone who has worked, in different capacities in different pockets of the world, and for so long, how do you see this narrative? How do you see India emerging in terms of storytelling, in terms of this new image as well, significance of it, connecting with your story?
Yeah, I'll start with the generic statement. India is a land of storytellers. We have been telling stories since thousands of years. Then ancient storytelling formats existed in India than anywhere else, including Tayyam and Kudiyattam. We don't have to probably prove anything to the world, you see. We don't need to prove. We have to just be very dedicated, honest, and indigenous, and also take the storytelling elements which India had been telling stories. You see, what I have problems with the Western storytellers, which have been sort of given too much of importance. The beauty of Indian storytelling is that it has that quality of what world could be, rather than focusing the microscope into the lower depths of humanity. That is generally the case in most of the so-called great narratives which are being shown on most of the OTT channels and in cinema halls. So I am very fond of the way India tells a story. We in Kathakali, what happens is that I see that Dusyasana is being torn apart by Bhima, and blood is being drunk of his blood. That's what he vowed, and I'm seeing it with a smiling face. A childlike performance is being done. The truth is there, but the truth is expressed through a genre which is like Van Gogh genre, which is like which is like surreal genre, like the way that famous painting of what's his name? Oh God, God help me with the name. I am so bad with the name. No, not Picasso. The sunflower.
Oh, Monet. Claude Monet.
Is it?
Yeah.
I suppose, yeah.
Sunflower. Yeah. So we have that ability to tell stories, so that we are not focusing on the lower depths of humanity, but we are telling a story that these are the things happening, but where humanity could go. And that's what probably Zain meant. This is a human story and the human cost, and probably what could we become rather than where we are.
Right.
And if that quality is maintained in this, and I hope it is maintained. I haven't seen the series yet, and I hope that will be maintained. And if that is done, then we don't need to. If the West recognizes it, it's okay, well and good. If they don't, I'm absolutely happy that they don't.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I don't care. I do care to tell a story honestly. With craft, we must know the craft also. Now, what kind of craft? Like, for example, recently my tweet had been a controversial tweet because his name is Tarantino. He had criticized one of my most favorite film director called Truffaut. That he said Truffaut is a bumble amateur. So he's a French filmmaker, Truffaut.
Yeah.
And I was very surprised. I said, it is important that, Tarantino shows blood and gore. And he's a very crafty filmmaker, but from my perspective, he's not one of the greatest filmmakers in the world. He's good filmmaker. He's a good filmmaker. He makes engaging films. But India has that tradition of telling stories which are deeply meaningful, which are very philosophical, which are extremely educating to uplift the awareness of humanity. And I hope that this one, Mukhbir, which is releasing on the 11th of November on Z5, does the same.
Wow, lovely chatting with you. And I hope the narrative is changing from Paul Gauguin, as you said, from Sunflower, Vincent van Gogh, to Raja Ravi Verma, perhaps.
Exactly.
The narrative is definitely changing, and we're really glad about it.
Yeah.
And this is going to be yet another story that will make India, of course, feel proud about. Thank you so much for this lovely conversation. Thanks a lot for your time.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Prathamesh.
Prathamesh.
Thank
Bye.
you. All the best.